I'm going to make this as short, sweet, and to the point as possible. I've already told you that one of the reasons why I didn't feel comfortable investing during the fall, especially during an election season, is because the market itself does not like uncertainty. And right now, there's about a 50% chance that either Biden or Trump is going to be president for the next 4 years. The Trump people want to think that Trump's got it in the bag, but they want to also ignore the fact that he never got the popular vote and that 10 million people that set out for the election between 2008, 2012, and 2016 are more than likely going to show up, including all of those brand new millennial voters and those brand new generation, Z voters who are new to the voter rolls. And the vast majority of them are definitely not voting for Trump. And because of coronavirus and how it has swiftly and absolutely dominated this entire year, there is no third party. There is no Jill Stein. There is no Gary Johnson. There is no Bernie Sanders. There's nobody else to focus on except just these two people. And then you have social media doing its best to force people to actually show up to vote, saying that, listen, if you don't show up to vote, you're not being a good citizen. So the turnout, as we can already see from the early voting, the turnout is going to probably be high. I do not personally believe it's going to be as high as 2008. But I absolutely do believe it's going to be high on the quote unquote blue or /liberal/Democrat side. I'm fairly certain it's going to be high. With any luck, it'll probably look like it did in 2012 or maybe a little bit better than that. But I don't believe it's going to be as high as 2008. The Bush economic failure was not as, how should I say, pronounced as the Trump economic failure this year. And, Congress can't get its stuff together, and they're not going to pass any stimulus, especially when Trump is trying to force through a Supreme Court justice. And the reason why that's important is because not passing a stimulus only adds even more uncertainty to this market. So regardless what you may hear, I'm not an optimist on this because I already know it's worse than they talk about in the news. In fact, the news has been doing its best not to talk about coronavirus at all. And they've also been doing their best not to talk about how bad the housing market is. And they've also been doing their best not to talk about how bad the real economy on Main Street is. They only want to point to the Dow Jones numbers. But the simple reality of it is, without stimulus and welfare checks being sent out by Trump, this economy is showing you exactly what it is each and every time we're having a drop in the market. Now, I was going to make this video on Friday before the weekend, but I said, you know what? I don't feel like doing it right now. Today, however, because there was such an obvious decline in the Dow Jones, I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk about what I wanted to talk about as short and succinctly as possible. And today, the Dow fell, as you can see. Let's see. So not only did it fall today, but it also fell Friday. And I'm not surprised about that because, as I said, this election is going to be leaving us with a lot of uncertainty up until it's completely over. I do not believe we're going to know exactly who the new president is the day after election. I think election day, the day after, I think it may take a week because they're going to force every single vote to be counted, and it's going to be a fight. And that's the bottom line. So until this is over, we won't know. But what I will say is the stock market would rally. Then, Fox News is talking doom and gloom because they said the same bullshit when Barack Obama got into office. Oh, yeah, the stock market's going to plummet. It's going to do horrible, blah, 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 blah. Stock market plummeted when Bush was in office. That's what basically put Obama in office. When Obama got in office, you had Sean Hannity and the same morons over at Fox News. Oh, God, the economy's going to collapse and blah, 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 blah. The economy basically did nothing but go up. So what did the racists over there at Fox News do? They started talking about, well, the economy is slower than ever. I mean, we've never seen a 1.5% recovery. Now, mind you, they only want to talk about the recovery as in, oh, it's all Obama's fault. They don't want to mention Bush's name. It's funny because even in Trump's administration, I don't hear anything being mentioned about Bush. And most of this basically started in 2008 while Bush was the president. His economy collapsed. Obama took over, and they're still talking the same nonsense and bullshit. But guess what? The stock market doesn't really care about what they're saying. The stock market has already priced in a Biden victory, and it's already priced in a Trump victory too. If Trump were to get re-election, he'll continue the tax cuts. Our national debt will continue to rise. It already rose $4 trillion while he's in office, and it will continue to rise. And your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, or whatever, they'll have to deal with it when their money ain't worth shit and the U.S. dollar turns into the Zimbabwe dollar. So we're not worried about it right now. And a lot of people don't even understand the national debt. One thing I realized when I talk to these stupid Republican right-wingers who constantly talk the talking points and parrot what they heard on Andrew Wilkow or parrot what they heard on Patriot XM or parrot what they heard on Fox News. One thing I've realized is half these people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They talk about Biden not doing anything for all this time. Ask these idiots, where was he the senator of? And I guarantee they shut the fuck up right there because they have no idea. They heard one part of it, but they didn't hear the other part. Ask them, well, where's he from? Most of them have no idea he's from Scranton, Pennsylvania. Most of them have no idea where he's from. What I can tell you is this. Delaware elected him, and they kept re-electing him. So he must have been doing something that was making them happy. But then again, you're dealing with the same people who attack Ilhan Omar, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi. They attack them and talk about what they haven't done and their lifestyle, they haven't done nothing. Guess what? Their constituents vote them in. Their constituents want to be represented by them. They are doing exactly what they're there to do. Whether you like it or not, they will be there indefinitely. And that's the reason why you have to be very careful about these people who talk about term limits. They're not trying to limit the term of their representative. They're trying to limit the term of yours. And that's the truth of the matter. That's why y'all should vote for me for president. But the problem is I can't run because Fox News will pull up all my YouTube stuff and they'll be running this shit for the next 30 years. They'll be like, oh yeah, isn't it true that Norman disobeyed the traffic laws and he disobeyed and he was chasing down econo boxes? It's like, isn't it true that you hate Infiniti and isn't it true that you hate Nissan? And I'll be standing on stage like, yeah, I guess you got me, and there'll be nothing I could do because they got my YouTube record. At this point, I don't care. Bottom line is this. Without stimulus, this economy is doomed. That's just the simple fact. Without this stimulus, this economy ain't going nowhere, no time, no fast, nowhere, no time soon. It ain't going nowhere. So even in these market things, they always talk about in the news, oh, stocks making the biggest moves after hours. But it was also saying Wall Street is down, closes down on soaring virus cases and stimulus worries. Well, first of all, the government, in my opinion, because I'm a real Republican, not like that loser, lunatic con man Trump who doesn't care how much money he's spending and doesn't care. I bet my credit's probably better than his. Yeah, he may have more cash, but he got bad credit and he's filed multiple bankruptcies. I never filed bankruptcy. I never had to. Why? Because I do business better than he does. Everything he's done fails. He took his father's money. Oh, yeah, look at me. I got a big jumbo jet. I got a Trump jet. It says Trump on it. Meanwhile, shit goes bankrupt. Oh, yeah, look at me. I got Trump steaks. I got steaks. I'm selling steaks. Goes bankrupt. Oh, look at me. Yeah, I got my name's on the side of a building. Look at me. Look at me. Shit is bankrupt. And you owe them like $200 million within the next year. Bottom line is this. He doesn't mind spending stimulus money because it ain't his money. That's the taxpayers' money. And it's like running up debt on a credit card. That's exactly what it is. The nation's credit card, running up debt. And when it snaps back and hits you in the face, you probably won't even be alive to see it. But I guarantee your children are going to end up being slaves to the government. See, real Republicans don't make government bigger. Real Republicans make government smaller. Real Republicans aren't passing out welfare checks. Real Republicans don't believe in welfare. But you know what? I guess that's just the difference between me and a big government conservative. So anyway, stocks are down. Apple was up a little. Amazon was up a little, not very much. Microsoft Google, Tesla. Basically, I link all of the companies that are worth $1 trillion or more. Apple's basically $2 trillion. Eventually, they're going to be $3 trillion because let's face it, nobody can touch Apple. All these Samsung fanboys, Android fanboys, they ain't nowhere to go. There's just it's like we got new iPhones coming out. They got the Galaxy S20. It's a joke. Nobody cares. The Galaxy Note. Oh, good. What Note are you up to? 10, 20, 30? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. So Apple's doing really well. Hopefully you invested in Apple when I told you at first, like to get ready for that stock split. If you got it nice and low, then boom, you got it. Tesla, I think they're down a little because I think they were like 440 or something, and now they're down like 420. CTIC, I told you all about CTIC. It was biopharma. I told you all about it a long time ago. I told you when it was like 80 cents or something like that. I was like, yeah, I did CTIC before I made a lot of money. I got out of it. And then when I saw it coming back and they had new drugs, I was like, get into it. Hopefully y'all got into it. See, my thing is I don't even bother deleting my old videos. I don't even bother because the thing about it is it's like I just leave them up there just so I can look back and say, yep, I told you so, So anyway, Sanofi, Gilead, those are down considerably because the thing about it is right now these virus numbers are still sparking. And first of all, they can rush that vaccine however fast they want it. I'm not taking it. I don't care if my job tells me, hey, guess what? If you don't take this, you're not allowed to come back here. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm retiring and I'm going to sue your asses because you don't have a right to force me to put anything in my body. So I'll see your asses in court. I'm not taking nothing, especially some fake vaccine from Russia that China and Russia and Trump are behind. I ain't doing none of that. So I'll tell you what, test it out on Trump supporters. I'm not taking it. Bottom line. You want to prove me wrong? Prove me wrong. I ain't taking it. I'll see your ass in court. I got a lawyer who works for free. She makes the ACLU look like Nazis. I'm not taking nothing. Okay, so anyway, I told y'all to buy Fiat, Chrysler, and Ford. This is where my automotive groups is. I told y'all to buy Goodyear Tire. I told you to buy that when it was down to like 8 something because Trump was talking bad about Goodyear Tire. Goodyear Tire is down a little bit, but it's still over $10. So guess what? You're up $2 if you listen to me. Ford is up from when I told y'all when Ford was at $5. I was like, yo, guys, Ford is a factory. They make PPE. Get in. Fiat Chrysler is a factory. They make PPE. Get in. GM is a factory. They make PPE. Get in. I told y'all this back in March. You remember when Trump was saying, oh, yeah, well, I'm going to use the Defense Production Act to make them do what I say. You remember that? I was like, you know what? You got to buy these damn factories because these are factories and they make stuff. You remember when them goddamn Republicans were trying to make GM and Ford and all them fail because they didn't want to give them the bailouts and everything? They were right in not wanting to give them bailouts because honestly, GM back then was making stupid small cars. Ford was making stupid small cars. And then Chrysler must have gotten their shit together and said, you know what? Let's make these things bigger and faster like Big Truck says, and we'll make some money. Well, guess what? GM's down, Ford's down, Fiat Chrysler's up. I can't speak any better than that. I can't tell you any better than that. Electric car companies like Workhorse, Candy, NIO. If you haven't gotten in on these already, you really should. Within the next couple of years, all you're going to be hearing about is electric vehicles. Chinese electric vehicles are going to be sold in China to India. They're going to be moving real hard. If you haven't gotten in, if you want Candy, that's $680 right now, and you can buy 100 shares. If you want Workhorse, it's going to cost you like double that. It's going to cost you a lot. 100 shares is going to cost you $1,850 or something. NIO is going to, listen, you don't have to buy them all. I would go for Candy because their cars are the cheapest, and like Tata Motors in India, they usually sell these cheap cars like the Nano because they have small streets. They have cheap, cars because most of the people can't afford like luxury cars because most of the people live in poverty. So it's getting better. But my thing is the governments are going to force electric cars on those people, whether they like it or not, and they're going to ban gas-powered cars. So you go to China, you ain't seeing no Hellcat. You'll see an electric Tesla, but you ain't seeing no Hellcat. You're not seeing no Infinities and all that. They're getting rid of them. Everything going to be electric. If you don't make electric, you can forget it. So if you're not in, you're not in. So let's see, who else? Bitcoin. One of the reasons why I wanted to talk Friday was about Bitcoin, because Bitcoin was testing 13,000 and then it started testing 14,000. I was like, there's no way it's getting past 14,000. Sure enough, it collapsed back to 12,000 level. And the thing about it is, these guys who are hyping Bitcoin, I'm just going to stop bothering with them because they don't seem to understand what I understood a long time ago. If you buy cryptocurrency, you are automatically being looked at by the IRS as a risk for money laundering. If you buy cryptocurrency and you have any offshore accounts whatsoever, oh yeah, you're absolutely getting audited by the IRS. The IRS got involved with Bitcoin. Like, listen, at one point, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, the major ones, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin, at one point they were safe. The government is never going to let these things challenge the dollar. They're not going to let it happen. The government will scrutinize you. They will come after you. If you touch cryptocurrency, I guarantee you, you are going to be looked at, scrutinized, audited by this government. They are not playing games. So international money laundering, international tax evasion, the government is never going to allow a quote unquote Bitcoin to be worth that much money. And by that much, I mean, they're not going to let that value rise too high above 10,000. 10,000, as you know, if you get on an airplane or you leave the US, $10,000 is the amount of money you have to declare if you're carrying that amount of money with you. The issue with cryptocurrency is, because of the whole point of cryptocurrency is to be anonymous and to be, to be anonymous. The government ain't going to let you get away with that shit. If you go to another country and you manage to somehow convert their money into cryptocurrency or your money into cryptocurrency or whatever, and you spend it while you're outside of America, yeah, you can fly under the radar doing that. But if you're doing international money transfers using Bitcoin, all these crypto, you're getting audited by the IRS. Cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin, has failed to get back to 19,000, where it was when it first collapsed back in early 2018. It's never going back there. The government is not going to allow it. They're involved. They're not going to allow it. The only reason why I will say this, because some people don't understand why it was rallying. The reason why it was rallying is very simple. It's because PayPal said, you know what? You can use PayPal as a wallet for Bitcoin. A lot of people took that to mean that, okay, we're going to allow you to pay for stuff using Bitcoin. Or maybe in the future date, we're going to allow you to use PayPal to pay for stuff using Bitcoin. That's not what they're saying. They're saying that they are going to allow you to store Bitcoin in a digital wallet on PayPal. Now, I'm pretty sure sooner or later, PayPal will allow maybe Bitcoin to be used for paying for things. The problem is PayPal, I use PayPal on eBay. They report to the government. They report to the IRS. If somebody's buying stuff from you, like let's say I have a yard sale and I sell $1,000 worth of stuff, PayPal is sending a letter, a 1099 form, to the government, and they're going to send you one, and they're going to let the government know that you made $1,000. It doesn't matter if you do that with PayPal money, Bitcoin, whatever. They're going to send information about you to the government. You can't beat the government. Thanks to George Bush's Patriot Act, they are watching. And that's the simple fact. I don't care if you don't want to listen to it. That's the fact. I know a lot of people are pro-Bitcoin because maybe they made a little bit of money. I made money off of Bitcoin, but that was before the IRS got involved. That was before Donald Trump's tax plan where the IRS got involved. This is what I keep telling you. I keep saying this like every single time I talk about Bitcoin. I say the same shit. So anyway, okay, where are we? Weed, as you know, my vote for Biden is also a vote for legalization of marijuana. Once marijuana gets legalized, oh yeah, we're coming back strong. We're coming back real strong. I've got thousands upon thousands upon thousands of share of marijuana that I bought on the dirt cheap. And as soon as we get them Democrats in office, marijuana is taking off. Legalization, that's the only way to go. Okay, so airlines. Airlines are low. They are higher than when I was talking about them back in March. Minorly higher. They're not that much higher, and they're not paying dividends anytime soon because right now they're not profitable. But if you did buy them back when I told you in March, even though Warren Buffett said, nah, I'm getting out of here, The thing about it is eventually they're going to come back, but right now they ain't coming back. They're not going nowhere because the planes ain't going nowhere. They're still sitting on the ground. And right now, the airlines are losing a lot of money, and they're going to end up writing off some of their larger planes that they can't fly anymore, which I think is stupid because the planes like the A380 are so big that, I can't think of a better plane to use for social distancing. But they're too stupid to say, you know what, we'll take a loss, but we'll save this plane. They're not even trying to do that. And that plane has a perfect record. But that's what happens when you got these goddamn corporate bigwigs running things. They're so interested in the profit, they don't give a shit if you can barely sit in the seat comfortably because the woman in front of you is leaning back on the chair and you got to keep kicking the chair and punching the chair, and then somebody else is recording you and puts you on YouTube and blows up your spot. They don't care about none of that. They don't care if you're comfortable or not, so long as they can buy 10 Lamborghinis with their fat pockets. They don't care. So, that said, oil, as you know, oil prices are still relatively low. Energy production is still low. The banks are right now, they're relatively low because you got to remember, we've got moratoriums on rent right now. We've got moratoriums on mortgages. A lot of the money that should be being collected right now is not being collected right now. A lot of commercial real estate is in jeopardy. Even here in New York, California, a lot of these businesses are never going to come back simply because now that they see that it's possible for them to do work from home, they're like, wait a minute, I'm not going to go back and rent a place for $5,000 or $6,000 a month. I don't have to because I could just have these losers work at home and I can pay them less and justify it by saying, well, you work at home, so, you don't need as much money because you don't have to come here every day. A lot of these businesses are about to close. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not going to ever reopen. They're just going to reopen as something different because a lot of people are going to see the business close and they're going to say, no, but we need something here. So somebody will open something new. This is actually a very, an opportunity for people who have some money, are interested in starting a business. This right here is actually an opportunity for them. Real estate, let me tell you something. I know there's New Yorkers who would disagree with me, but I want to see a real estate collapse. All these losers in these Browns, because I hate Brooklyn and I hate the Bronx too. I want to see all of these high value, Karen-filled apartments. I want to see all of their real estate values collapse. And when they collapse, it's going to be hilarious. You know why? Because all of a sudden, all those people who got gentrified out, they're going to be able to move right back in because they ain't going to, the places are going to go bankrupt otherwise. They're going to be like, oh, but I don't want them living here. I moved here because they didn't live here. And now they're just going to move right back in. So here you got this place all gentrified and everything. And now Pookie and Ray Ray are going to move right back next door to you before you go jogging. And it's going to be hilarious. You're going to have to pass Pookie and Ray Ray every day. They're going to be like, they'll be like, hey, baby, can I holler? And they'll be like, I don't even want you here. And they'll be like, hey, I'm going to get on the phone. I'm going to call the police because Karen is threatening me. It's like, yeah. Let me tell you something. I'm right. It's going to happen. I can't wait to watch it happen. And I got 2 houses here. I want it to happen. I want to see. And my houses are a fraction of the cost of these stupid Manhattan and these stupid Brooklyn overly inflated apartments and buildings. I want to see the collapse. Let me tell you, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Can't wait for it. So the banks right now are a little bit low. They're higher than when I bought into them, but they're a little low. Technology is still doing well. NVIDIA, AMD, Logitech. I was telling you to buy AMD and Logitech back at $50. I'm not going to stop saying it. If you listen to me, you'd have been up $30 whole by now. And AMD went up to $90. And AMD is going to keep going. Let me tell you something. AMD is going to crack 100, and it's going to keep going because you got to remember, they got video cards right now that they're getting ready to release in order to fight NVIDIA's 3000 series. And NVIDIA is making a killing right now. So AMD is not going to ever be able to beat NVIDIA, but they'll be able to stay right behind them because half the stuff they make is cheap. So at least more people can afford it, which means that more people buy it. I told you to buy it at $50. They're at $82 right now. Who's right? Me, obviously. So next, Sirius. Warren Buffett took his money out of airlines, put his money in Sirius. Sirius hasn't moved yet. Sirius's problem is Sirius, I believe, it revolves around car sales because that's how you get new subscribers. And I don't think that's going anywhere anytime soon. But other than that, the last thing I'll talk about is called Ant. Ant is a new Chinese IPO. We'll talk about that. And right now, you can't really buy into it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this section right here, and I want to talk about Ant. I told you, don't sleep on the Chinese stocks. So basically, Ant Group. Now, you may remember this guy right here, Jack Ma, because now he's talking about Ant. So what is Ant? Do you know what Ant is? Have you heard of Ant? Well, if you haven't heard of it, that's obviously why you're listening to me. Ant Group to raise $34.5 billion, valuing it over $313 billion in biggest IPO of all time. Ant Group would raise $34.5 billion in its initial public offering, blah, 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 blah. You can read this yourself. I'm tired. I just came home from the gym. So anyway, Ant Group would, these stupid pop-ups. All right, so anyway, the Chinese financial technology giant previously said it would split its stock issuance equally across Shanghai and Hong Kong, issuing 1.67 billion new shares in each location. Ant Group Shanghai listed shares will be priced at 68.8 yuan, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here's the thing. Right now, Ant is working on raising money in its IPO. So this is basically a new Chinese technology company. And basically, because the Chinese people, because they number so high, you're talking about like 1.4 billion people, basically any company that they're putting on this level of a pedestal is going to end up being a lot like Alibaba. They're going to invest in it based solely on knowing that that's what they create and that it's also Chinese owned. Alibaba has taken in a lot of money since we bought into it back when it was only like $80 a share. And right now they're like $306 a share. Now, okay, so what does it say? The Ant Group is expected to start trading November 5th, according to the regulatory filing. The company has not disclosed when its Shanghai shares will begin trading. The Chinese company previously said that strategic investors have agreed to subscribe to 80% of the company's Shanghai issued shares. Alibaba, via its subsidiary Zhejiang Tmall Technology, has agreed to buy 730 million A shares, which are yuan-denominated shares of Chinese companies listed in mainland exchanges, right? Okay, Ant's pricing comes after regulators in mainland China and Hong Kong last week gave the green light for listing it. Okay, how about another story? This one's from CNN. Ant Group raises $34 billion, blah, blah, blah. It's pretty much the same exact information. So you can do your own research into it. But my thing is, with Alibaba, I blindly went into Alibaba because basically from what I had heard about Alibaba was going to be like, all I had to hear was the Chinese Amazon. That's all I needed to hear. And I was like, okay, I'm in. And sure enough, it paid off. Sure enough. I mean, when the number of people you have there, when you're talking about these companies like Candy and NIO doing these electric cars, man, when you're talking about that number of people, right now it's not that big because of the pandemic. But let me tell you something. When we come out of this pandemic, whenever that is, it's going to be huge. It's going to be absolutely huge. And the bottom line is either you're in it or you're not. So you need to keep paying. You need to pay attention to Ant. You need to pay attention to when it becomes public here in America to buy their shares. So it says, okay, Ant is the financial technology company affiliated with Chinese e-commerce group Alibaba, which went public on the New York Stock Exchange in 2014. I believe when we got into it, it was either 2015 or... No, you know what? It was 2015 when we got into it. In fact, I made a video, talking about my friend who stupidly sold all of his stock because what happened was I had him buy in at around 85. It dropped down to 60. He panicked and he sold. And now he's out. And I'm still in, but he's out. Sorry. So anyway, what was all a world record set IPO? It set world records. Billionaire Ma has ultimate control over Ant and is due to profit handsomely from the share sale. Mirroring Ma's success with Alibaba, Ant has quickly grown into most powerful tech companies in the world. And I think this journalist screwed up because I'm really good at proofreading and I know he's missing an article here. Mirroring Ma's success with Alibaba, Ant has quickly grown into the most powerful tech companies in the world. CNN Business, fire your editor because the guy's not doing his job. It has established its presence in every aspect of financial life in China, from investment accounts and micro savings products to insurance, credit scores, and even dating profile. I feel like a comma is missing here. But anyway, you know what? Forget it. The company's payments app, Alipay, had 731 million monthly active users as of September. Ant said in regulatory filings, the platform handled 118 trillion yuan, that's 17.7 trillion, in payments in the 12 months through June. So Ant, watch that face right there. Ant is about to be big. That's the bottom line. That's all you need to hear. Ant is about to be big. Get your money ready. You hear what I'm saying? Get your money ready for Ant. We're going to be talking about Ant in the future. Get your money ready to get you some Ant.